Hello and welcome to this second exploring session looking at the Taming of a Shrew. And today we are looking at Act 3 to 5, trying to keep our heads together as we try to understand this pleasant, conceited history. It's a fast-moving play. It's been so fast-moving that we were getting lost at times. So in fact, there were points of incident of who was who and who was disguised as who last time. That once we finished the session, the discussion went on for a lengthy time, of which some people are less convinced than others as to explanations about who is doing what and for why. But yes, there are ways of embedding various servants and people into the household to try and get the daughters interested in some of the chaps. And yes, there's perhaps more discussion to be had on that as we go forward, and we may elucidate that for the viewers at home who have literally no idea what I'm talking about because you weren't in the room at the time because we stopped recording for the bit, which was possibly the most interesting part of yesterday's session. But never mind, just let your fear of missing out tendrils quiver. So we're going to say from Act 3 to Act 5, we're going to finish the play, and I'm assuming it's going to move at a similar lick as it did yesterday, but maybe it will slow down. We shall see. So today, reading Sander, who's both a player in the outermost layer of this play, but also within the play frame of the play within the play, is
Steve Longstaffe, retired academic living in North Lancashire.
And reading Tom and Alfonso today is...
Hi, I'm Eric, and I'm backlit.
Lighting conditions are something we do worry about here on a daily basis. Reading today, Amelia, one of the daughters to Alfonso, is...
Rachael Nicole, actor, New Jersey, currently snowing outside.
And reading Tailor and Philema, one of the other daughters to Alfonso, is...
Hi, I'm Valentina, and I am an Italian actor and voiceover artist in London.
And reading Kate and a Tapster, Kate being another one of the daughters of Alfonso, is...
So I'm Emma Kemp, I'm an actor and I live in London.
And reading, who should I go to next? Reading Will and a Boy is...
Lois Potter, retired academic living in London.
Reading Ferando, who has just this moment married Kate, is...
Hi, I'm Alan Scott, based in Suffolk.
Reading Aurelius, one of the suitors to one of the daughters, is... Elizabeth.
I'm Elizabeth Amisu, and I'm an author based in Romford.
Yes, the internet gremlins creating a bit of a time lag there. Hopefully that will smooth itself out later in the session. Reading Valeria, servant to Aurelius, one of the suitors, and Sly is...
Hello, Dan, actor based in Montpellier, France.
And reading Polidor, one of the other suitors, is...
Lynn, I'm a teacher. I live in the Northwestern United States.
And reading Phylotus, a character we've not met yet, and a lord who we have, is...
Hello, I'm Helen Good, and I'm in Hull. Yes, Hull.
And reading Haberdasher and a duke who is a relation to somebody else in the play, but who we have not met yet, is...
Aliki, actor and translator. I'm based in the north of England.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I will be reading the stage directions, what they are, and generally keeping things moving forward. So we've got this labelled as in 5-act structure. That's added later in this play's life, but it's useful for admin purposes, and it seems to function perfectly fine. So we're going from Act 3, Scene 1. Enter Sander with 2 or 3 serving men.
Comp says, provide all things as fast as you can. My master's hard at hand, my new mistress and all, and he sent me before to see all things ready.
Welcome home, Sander. Sir, how looks our new mistress? They say she's a plaguey shrew.
Aye, and that thou shalt find, I can tell thee, if thou dost not please her well. Why, my master had such ado with her as it passeth. He's even like a madman.
Why, Sander? What does he say?
I'll tell you what. When they should go to church to be married, he puts on an old jerkin and a pair of canvas breeches down to the small of his leg and a red cap on his head. He looks as thou wilt burst thyself with laughing when thou seest him. He's even good as a fool for jests. And then, when they should go to dinner, he made me saddle the horse, and away he came, ne'er tarried for dinner. Therefore, you had best get supper ready, against they come, for they be hard at hand, I'm sure, by this time.
Soon see where they'll be ready.
Enter Ferando and Kate.
Now welcome, Kate. Where's these villains? Here, what, not supper yet upon the board? Not table spread? Not nothing done at all? Where is that villain that I sent before?
Now, have some, sir.
Come hither, you villain. I'll cut your nose, you rogue. Help me off with my boots. Will please you to lay the cloth? Sounds, the villain hurts my foot. Pull easily, I say. Yet again.
He beats them all. They cover the board and fetch in the meat.
Sounds, burnt and scorched. Who dressed this meat?
Forsooth, John Cook.
He throws down the table and meat and all and beats them.
Go, you villains. Bring you me such meat. Out of my sight, I say, and bear it hence. Come, Kate, we'll have other meat provided. Is there a fire in my chamber, sir?
Oh, aye, forsooth.
Exeunt Ferando and Kate, the remaining servant men stay and eat up all the meat.
Soon I think of my conscience, my master is mad since he was married.
I laughed what a box he gave Sander for pulling off his boots.
Enter Ferando again.
I had his foot for the nonce man.
Did you so, you damned villain?
And he beats them all out again.
This humour I must hold me to a while, to bridle and hold back my headstrong wife, with curbs of hunger, ease and want of sleep. Nor sleep nor meat shall she enjoy tonight. I'll mew her up as men do mew their hawks, and make her gently come unto the lure. Were she as stubborn or as full of strength as were the Thracian horse Alcides tamed, that King Aegeus fed with flesh of men, yet would I pull her down and make her come as hungry hawks do fly unto their lure.
And he exits. We're not going to pause yet. We're going to let a little steam flow out of this particular pressure cooker. Act 3, Scene 2, enter Aurelius and Valeria.
Valeria, attend. I have a lovely love, as bright as is the heaven crystalline, as fair as is the milk-white way of Jove, as chaste as Phoebe in her summer sports, as soft and tender as the azure down that circles Cytherea's silver doves. Her do I mean to make my lovely bride, and in her bed to breathe the sweet content that I, thou knowest, long time have aimed at. Now, Valeria, it rests in thee to help, to compass this, that I might gain my love, which easily thou mayest perform at will. If that the merchant which thou toldest me of will, as he said, go to Alfonso's house, and say he is my father, and therewithal pass over certain deeds of land to me, that I thereby may gain my heart's desire, and he is promised reward of me.
Fear not, my lord. I'll fetch him straight to you, for he'll do anything that you command. But tell me, my lord, is Ferando married then?
He is, and Polidor shortly shall be wed, and he means to tame his wife ere long.
He says so.
Faith, he's gone on to the taming school.
The taming school? Why, is there such a place?
Aye, and Ferando is the master of the school.
That's rare. But what decorum does he use?
Faith, I know not, but by some odd device or other. But come, Valeria, I long to see the man by whom we must compromise our plotted drift, that I may tell him what we have to do.
Then come, my lord, and I will bring you to him straight.
Agreed. Then let's go.
And they exit. One more scene before we pause. Act 3, Scene 3. Enter Sander. We're back in the household of Ferando and Kate. Enter Sander and his mistress.
Come, Mistress.
Sir, I prithee, help me to some meat. I am so faint that I can scarcely stand.
Aye, marry, mistress. But, you know, my master has given me a charge that you must eat nothing but that which he himself give you.
Why, man? My master needs never know it.
You say true indeed. Why, look you, mistress. What say you to a piece of beef and mustard now?
Why, I say 'tis excellent meat. Canst thou help me to some?
I could help you to some. I doubt the mustard is too choleric for you. What say you to a sheep's head and garlic?
Why, anything, I care not what it be.
Oh, but the garlic, I doubt, will make your breath stink. And then my master will curse me for letting you eat it. What say you to a fat capon?
That's meat for a king. Sweet Sander, help me to some of it.
Oh, nay, by our lady, 'tis too dear for us. We must not meddle with the king's meat.
Out, villain. Dost thou mock me? Take that for thy sauciness.
And she beats him.
Soons, you so light-fingered with a murrain. I'll keep you fasting for it these 2 days.
I tell thee, villain, I'll tear the flesh off thy face and eat it, and thou prates to me thus.
Ah, ha, 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 ha. Here comes my master. Now he'll curse you.
Enter Ferando with a piece of meat upon his dagger's point, and Polidor with him.
See here, Kate, I provided meat for thee. Here, take it. What? It's not worthy thanks. Go, Sarah, take it away again. You shall be thankful for the next you have.
Why, I thank you for it.
Nay, now 'tis not worth a pin. Go, Sarah, and take it hence, I say.
Yes, sir. I'll carry it hence. Master, let her have none. She can fight, as hungry as she is.
I pray you, sir, let it stand, for I'll eat some with her myself.
Well, Sarah, set it down again.
Nay, nay, I pray you, let him take it hence, and keep it for your own diet, for I'll none. I'll ne'er be beholding to you for your meat. I tell thee flatly, hear unto thy teeth. Thou shalt not keep me, nor feed me as thou list, for I will home again unto my father's house.
Aye, when you're meek and gentle, but not before. I know your stomach is not yet come down. Therefore, no marvel thou canst not eat. And I will go unto your father's house. Come, Polidor, let us go in again. And Kate, come in with us. I know ere long that thou and I shall lovingly agree.
And everyone exits. So 3 scenes in quick succession. It's part of a sequence of scenes in relatively quick succession, though you could argue this whole play is a series of scenes in incredibly quick succession. But I thought for once we'd give it a sense of momentum without stopping and starting too often, especially as we're getting to perhaps the taming sequence of this particular play. We've got a lot of comedy mileage to be got out of beating servants, because that is always hilarious. We get the master beating the servants. You get servants saying, "Ha ha, he beat him," and then getting beaten themselves. She beats the servants as well. So many beaten servants. It's good knockabout comedy fun. Thoughts from the room on that statement, and others, depending on how seriously you think I was making it. Thoughts about the room, or about that, or anything else? Helen?
I thought it was quite interesting that the clown Sanders is he's one of the complaints is that Ferando says his foot was hurt when they were taking off the boot, and Sander obviously did it deliberately. So, I mean, it's not entirely it's not entirely one-sided. Also, Sander is deliberately winding Kate up with offering the food and then saying, "Oh, no, that would be a bad idea." And I mean, he exasperates her beyond bearing.
Yeah, and it's comedy shtick as well. You know, he has no real stake in what's going on here. I mean, presumably he's got no meat to offer because they've already eaten it. We've saw them do it. Aliki.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if we should take the starving of Kate in the same vein then as the beating of servants, as a comedy opportunity rather than as any. I don't think anybody's saying beat your servants, or maybe they are. You see what I mean?
Not unknown for the early modern. But yes, it's a sense that nobody's eating. It's not a solo practice, and that it is the clown who's doing this comedy business about you can't eat, which is interesting. Alan, then Stephen, then Lois.
I'm just wondering, the taking the boots thing off, it could just be Sander being portrayed as being only semi-competent, or it could be that effectively his later actions, where he's obviously complicit in the winding up of Kate by offering and then denying food, has been pre-plotted between him and Ferando. So that the dispute between the two of them is there as a smokescreen.
Stephen.
I have a feeling this point's already been made, but I'll just say again. Yeah, Kate is a kind of clown figure at this point, in the sense that she's hungry, she's absolutely starving, which is this kind of standard servant thing. But you've got that sort of beating him, which if it wasn't within this play, you could just abstract this, couldn't you, and play it entirely comically. It depends on how much you want to play the play as opposed to the sort of the Christopher Sly version. He'd love this bit.
Yeah, well, there is a really interesting question, actually. Again, until we get to the end of the play, we can't wholly decide what this scene is doing and within the rest of the framework. In the sense that everybody's sort of getting beaten, that it's this clown figure doing, oh, would you like some meat? Well, we don't actually have any. Would you it's not, doesn't seem to be done with any real sense of intent or malice. It's just clown business. That's how it seems to me. Whereas Ferando coming in with the meat on the stick, it has intent, and the fact that Kate refuses, just says, no, I'm not playing this game. I'm not playing this game at all. I am not engaging with this activity at all. Lois, then Lynn.
Yeah, I have a theory about that bit. We've read the Battle of Alcazar, haven't we? There's that bit where the villain character and his wife are starving in the desert, and then he goes out and kills a lion and comes in with the lion's heart on his dagger and offers it to her. And this was clearly a big moment in the theater because it got kind of corrupted into the line, "Feed and be fat, my fair Callipolis," which gets quoted a couple of times in other plays. I'm just wondering if this is a parody of that moment. For one thing, as you say, they've already eaten all the cooked meat, so this could be a raw piece of meat dripping blood, and it's totally unappealing to Kate or anybody else. It's just a thought anyway, just part of the general zaniness.
Yeah, and we've got other starving people in the wilderness kind of scenes as well, that from very much this orbiting period as well. So maybe there's almost a matrix of people being very hungry scenes that we might be able to feed, that the audience might be feeding off on to some degree. That wasn't a deliberate pun, but anyway. Lynn, was it? Yes, next.
This is supposed to be comic, but I just thought I would mention that depriving people of, does he say he won't let her sleep? Yes, he won't let her sleep. He won't let her be comfortable. He'll deprive her of ease. He won't let her eat. Those are brainwashing techniques that, in modern international conflict or whatever, that's what you do with prisoners when you don't actually cause them permanent physical harm. It's not actually torture, but you can really break a person psychologically by sleep depriving them and not giving them enough to eat. So just semi-starving them. So those are actually torture techniques. I just thought I would mention that. But the thing that really stood out to me in this sequence is that Kate doesn't break right away, that she retaliates when she realizes that Sander is lying to her, is torturing her. She strikes him, and in the end she's like, of this sequence we just read. Like, keep your meat. I'm gonna go home. This is bullshit. Like you were saying, I'm not engaging. I'm not playing this game. So she's not broken yet, which is got my attention.
Well, you say it's the really big question about this sequence is really how the player is going to, where the player is going to go from now, how it's going to frame what this action is, and how the play concludes for us to really come up with absolute. But you're absolutely right, and we were saying yesterday we were sort of waiting for the misogyny to really pop up, and maybe just a little nose is just coming out of the undergrowth there. Eric, then Helen.
I was going to say that I enjoyed the pun on the line, take that for thy sauciness, in the context of an argument about food.
Helen?
Yes, following on from what Lynn said, I totally take on board what she said and the effect of this sort of behavior. But nevertheless, in this play, it's in the context of taming a hawk, which is that the hawk is on your hand is usually on the arm of a chair, and the only way that hawk can get to sleep is by trusting you and going to sleep on your arm, and the only food it gets is from your hand. So, and that's the way you tame a hawk.
And it is interesting at that moment, that's when the playwright decides to start quoting or semi-quoting Taming in the following lines. So I don't know if there's an interesting crossover parallel that we might want to make there. There's quite a lot of Taming popping up in his, a bit of Faustus. They pop up continually in this play. I don't know whether that is deliberate, because there's it would be fair to say that Taming the Great doesn't exactly have the best of grounds when it comes to sexual politics. Any additional thoughts before we go forward? Nobody's really talked about Aurelius and Valeria, the scene that sandwiched these two moments. They mentioned that Polidor is looking to go to the taming school, and we do see that Polidor popping in and seeing things. So this is something between all the chaps here. It's a sort of semi-institutionalized point of view. Eric.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's interesting how I thought this was like set in the middle of the night or something, and she creeps downstairs for food, or presumably. And like somehow Ferando turns up with Polidor, who is not part of the household. So it just feels very sort of public, like this is a public house. You're not sort of, it's not as private as Kate and Ferando would have been, I think.
Yeah, we perhaps shouldn't be too tempted to put in a permanent time of day for this scene. There is nothing there. That's to a degree a production decision that we might want to make, depending on what the tone of the scene we want it to be. Any additional thoughts before we move on? We'll do another mini cluster. Okay, we're going to return to Aurelius, Valeria, and some additional characters. So Act 3, Scene 4, enter Aurelius, Valeria, and Philotus the Merchant.
Now, Signor Philotus, we will go unto Alfonso's house, and be sure you say, as I did tell you concerning the man that dwells in Sestos, whose son I said I was. For you do very much resemble him, and fear not, you may be bold to speak your mind.
I warrant you, sir, take you no care. I shall use myself so cunning in the cause, as you shall soon enjoy your heart's delight.
Thanks, sweet Philotus. Then stay you here, and I will go and fetch him hither straight. Ho, Signor Alfonso, a word with you.
Enter Alfonso, father of daughters.
Who's there? What, Aurelius, what's the matter that you stand so like a stranger at the door?
My father sir, is newly come to town, and I have brought him here to speak with you concerning those matters that I told you of, and he can certify you of the truth.
Is this your father? You are welcome, sir.
Thanks, Alfonso, for that is your name, I guess. I understand my son hath set his mind and bent his liking to your daughter's love. And for because he is my only son, and I would gladly that he should do well, I tell you, sir, I not mislike his choice. If you agree to give him your consent, he shall have living to maintain his state. £300 a year I will assure to him and to his heirs, if they do join and knit themselves in holy wedlock band. 1,000 massy ingots of pure gold, and twice as many bars of silver plate I freely give him. And in writing straight I will confirm what I have said in words.
Trust me, I must commend your liberal mind and loving care you bear unto your son. And here I give him freely my consent. As for my daughter, I think he knows her mind, and I will enlarge her dowry for your sake, and solemnize with joy your nuptial rites. But is this gentleman of Sestos too?
The Duke of Sestos' thrice-renowned son, who for the love his honour bears to me, hath thus accompanied me to this place.
You were to blame, you told me not before. Pardon me, my lord, but if I had known your honor had been here in place with me, I would have done my duty to your honor.
Thanks, good Alfonso. But I did come to see when as these marriage rites should be performed. And if in these nuptials you vouchsafe to honor thus the Prince of Sestos' friend in celebration of his spousal rites, he shall remain a lasting friend to you. What say Aurelius' father?
I humbly thank your honour, good my lord, and ere we part before your honour here, shall articles of such content be drawn as twixt our houses and posterities, eternally this league of peace shall last, inviolate and pure on either part.
With all my heart, and if your honor please, to walk with us unto my house. We will confirm these leagues of lasting love.
Come then, Aurelius. I will go with you.
And they exit all. The next scene, we return to Ferando's and Kate's. Enter Ferando, Kate, and Sander.
Master, the haberdasher has brought my mistress home her cap here.
Come hither, sirrah. What have you there?
A velvet cap, sir, and it please you.
Who spoke for it? Didst thou, Kate?
What if I did? Come hither, Sarah. Give me the cap. I'll see if it will fit me.
And she sets it on her head.
Oh, monstrous! Why, it becomes thee not. Let me see it. Kate? Here, Sarah, take it hence. This cap is out of fashion quite.
The fashion is good enough. Belike you mean to make a fool of me.
Why, true, he means to make a fool of thee. To have thee put on such a cursed old cap. Sirrah, be gone with it.
Exit haberdasher. Enter the tailor with a gown.
Here is the tailor, too, with my mistress' gown.
Let me see it, tailor. What, with cuts and jags? Zounds, you villain, thou hast spoilt the gown.
Why, sir, I made it as your men gave me direction. You may read the note here.
Come here, Sirrah Tailor. Read the note.
Item, a fair round compassed cape.
Aye, that's true.
And a large trunk sleeve.
That's a lie, master. I said 2 trunk sleeves.
Well, sir, go forward.
Item, a loose-bodied gown.
Oh, master, if ever I said loose body's gown, well, sew me in a seam and beat me to death with a bottom of brown thread.
I made it as the note bade me.
I say the note lies in his throat, and thou too, and thou sayest.
Nay, be so hot, sirrah, for I fear you not.
Dost thou hear, tailor? Thou'st braved many men. brave not me. Thou'st faced many men.
Well, sir?
Well, face not me. I'll be neither faced nor braved at thy hands, I can tell thee.
Come, come. I like the fashion of it well enough. Here's more ado than needs. I'll have it, aye. And if you do not like it, hide your eyes. I think I shall have nothing by your will.
Go, I say, and take it up for your master's use.
Silence, villain, not for thy life, touch it not. Soon take up my mistress' gown to his master's use.
Well, sir, what's your conceit of it?
Well, I've a deeper conceit in it than you think for. Take up my mistress' gown to his master's use.
Tailor, come hither. For this time take it hence again, and I'll content thee for thy pains.
I thank you, sir.
Exit Tailor.
Come, Kate. We will now go see thy father's house, even in these honest, mean habiliments. Our purses shall be rich, our garments plain, to shroud our bodies from the winter rage. And that's enough. What shall we care for more? Thy sisters, Kate, tomorrow must be wed, and I have promised them thou shouldst be there. The morning is well up, let's haste away. It will be 9 o'clock ere we come there.
9 o'clock? Why, 'tis already past 2 in the afternoon by all the clocks in the town.
I say it is but 9 o'clock in the morning.
I say 'tis 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
It shall be 9 then ere we go to your father's. Come back again, we'll not go today. Nothing but crossing of me still. I'll have you say as I do ere you go.
And exit all. And last scene of this little sectionette, Act 3, Scene 6. Enter Polidor, Emelia, Aurelius, and Philema.
Fair Emelia, summer's sun bright queen, brighter of hue than is the burning clime where Phoebus in his bright equator sits, creating gold and precious minerals. What would Emelia do if I were forced to leave fair Athens and to range the world?
Should thou essay to scale the seat of Jove, mounting the subtle airy regions, or be snatched up as erst was Ganymede, love should give wings unto my swift desires, and prune my thoughts that I would follow thee, or fall and perish as did Icarus.
Sweetly resolved, fair Emelia. But would Philema say as much to me if I should ask a question now of thee? What if the Duke of Sextus' only son, who came with me unto your father's house, should seek to get Philema's love from me, and make thee Duchess of that stately town? Wouldst thou not then forsake me for his love?
Not for great Neptune, no, nor Jove himself, with Philema leave Aurelius' love. Could he install me empress of the world, or make me queen and guidress of the heavens, yet would I not exchange thy love for his. Thy company is poor Philema's heaven, and without thee heaven were hell to me.
And should my love, as erst did Hercules, attempt to pass the burning vaults of hell, I would with piteous looks and pleasing words, as once did Orpheus with his harmony, and ravishing sound of his melodious harp, entreat grim Pluto, and of him obtain that thou mightest go and safe return again.
And should my love, as erst Leander did, attempt to swim the boiling Hellespont, for hero's love no towers of brass should hold, but I would follow thee through those raging floods, with locks dishevelled and my breast all bare, with bended knees upon Abydos' shore, I would with smoky sighs and brinish tears importune Neptune and the watery gods to send a guard of silver-scaled dolphins, with sounding tritons to be our convoy, and to transport us safe unto the shore, whilst I would hang about thy lovely neck, redoubling kiss on kiss upon thy cheek, and with our pastime still the swelling waves.
Should Polidor, as great Achilles did, only employ himself to follow arms, like to the warlike Amazonian queen, Penthesilea, Hector's paramour, who foiled the bloody Pyrrhus, murderous Greek, I'll thrust myself amongst the thickest throngs, and with my utmost force assist my love.
Let Aela's storm be mild and quiet thou. Let Neptune's well be Aurelius calm and pleased. I cannot, betide what may betide. Let fate and fortune do the worst they can. I reck them not. They not discord with me, whilst that my love and I do well agree.
Sweet Philema, beauty's mineral, from whence the sun exhales his glorious shine, and cloud the heaven in thy reflected rays. And now, my leafless love, the time draws nigh, the Timon mounted in his saffron robe, must with his torches wait upon thy train. As Helen's brothers on horned moon, now Juno to thy number shall I add, the fairest bride that ever merchant had.
Come, fair Amelia, the priest is gone, and at the church your father and the rest do stay to see our marriage rites performed, and knit in sight of heaven this Gordian knot, that teeth of fretting time may ne'er untwist. Then come, fair love, and gratulate with me this day's content and sweet solemnity.
And exit all, and for a brief moment we go back to induction world.
Sim, must they be married now?
Aye, my lord.
Looks.
Yeah, you can tell Sly's really paying attention, can't you? Just going, oh, do they have to get married? I don't like the soppy stuff. Oh, I want the clown back on. You know, oh, I'm bored now. They're saying poetry. They're all quoting Marlowe. I don't want Aliki.
I don't think that's the joke. I think the joke is he doesn't understand what's happened because there's all of this illusion on top of illusion. He's like, are they going to get married now? I don't think it's must as in do they have to.
Yeah, the next line is telling, but we'll run that little induction world sequence in its entirety in a moment. Lois, muted at present. Muted at present. Still muted at present.
Yeah, they keep saying, we're going to get married, we're going to get married. The priest is waiting. And after all of that, are they going to get married? You know, the penny is finally dropped. You know, maybe.
Yeah, especially depends how pointedly they're performing it at him as well. It's just getting married. Wake him up, somebody. Alan.
I think actually the excuse is that Sly has basically been at the bottle the whole time. You know, if he's visible in the background, he's forever refilling his tankard.
Yes, not a part for someone with a small bladder.
No.
So we've had, as I say, 3 again interlocking scenes, switching from in town, as it were, and out to wherever Ferando and Kate are. We've got more play acting and setting up for this particular match. Aurelius and Polidor getting themselves set up, and also we have some business with a haberdasher and a tailor, and some really interesting questions about the way Sandra's clown is functioning. Thoughts in the room about any of those 3 scenes or how they relate to earlier scenes? I'll go to Helen, then I'll go to Eric, then I'll go to Lynn, and then lots of other people as well.
Now we go back to the beginning of Act 3, Scene 4, and make sure that we're all looking at the same plot. Mm-hmm. Aurelius is pretending to be a merchant's son from Sestos, although he is in fact the Duke's son. Am I right? Okay. He's got himself a spurious father who is not pretending to be the Duke, but pretending to be a merchant. Yeah? We don't know who this guy is or why he's doing it, but that's another matter. At the same time, he is telling his father-in-law-to-be that the man he has been entertaining as a lute player is actually the son of the Duke. though this man is in fact his own servant, Valeria. Do I have that correct?
I'll go to Lynn first.
Yeah, that sounds right, because in scene 6, Aurelius says, Golden Boy says, what if the Duke of Cestus' only son, which came with me into your father's house, should seek to get Philema's love from me? So yeah, so what if that guy who came with me, who's actually a duke's son, were to woo you? Would he win you from me? So we've got a love test going on here as well, which is a common trope in early modern drama. So yeah, that tends to confirm what Helen said, that we've got Valeria pretending to be Aurelius and a lute instructor as well. Yeah.
And servant to Polidor.
He was pretending to be servant to Polidor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
For some reason that passes imagination.
Understanding.
Yeah, because. I did have an order earlier. It's all gone horribly wrong. Eric, then whoever next, I'll pick randomly.
I was going to say that it's interesting how in this play the other two daughters are the ones making all the sort of romantic speeches and the vows and stuff, like, oh yes, I will swim like Leander, or cry sort of till the gods feel sorry for me and send you dolphins to help you out and that kind of stuff. And it's all very sort of, I don't know, it just feels like quite refreshing actually. Rather than having, oh yes, you're sort of very as beautiful as whatever, sort of I would dare to fight the armies of Troy were you, and that kind of thing, but on the male side of the fence.
Lois, I thought I saw her hand earlier.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, two things, I guess. I mean, one is that I guess Aurelius is such a twit. He wants to be loved for himself alone, not as the son of the Duke of Cestus. And that's why he keeps, pushing this. Suppose it were the Duke of Cestus' son courting you. Yeah, the other thing is just these weird quotations. I mean, that line with ravishing sound of his melodious harp, that's the only line taken from a passage in Faustus. I mean, I'm sure I'm not recognizing all the quotations, but that particular one is spoken by Faustus, and it's in a completely different context. It's really quite odd that just one line should be kind of incorporated into that speech.
Yeah, there's odd little quotations turning up everywhere. Emma, I saw a hand earlier.
Yeah, so we've had another couple of these little taming scenes in which Kate is continuing to hold her own really well and really funnily, actually, basically saying, if you don't like the dress, just don't look at it, hide your eyes, I'm gonna have it, okay? I found it so funny. And then the scene that we've just read now with the two girls, I feel like you can have a lot of fun with that as well, the two sisters, because I feel like it's more about those two trying to outdo each other than what they're saying to the men that they're with, actually.
There's something very performative about it,
Yeah.
They are play acting to a degree within the scene itself. Valentina.
I have a question, because obviously coming in on the second day, so this is the play within the play, right?
Yes.
So could it be that the quotations are because these are actors, so they're using what they know?
Yeah, there could be a lot more quotations and spoofs from within a repertoire that we just haven't got and we're not recognizing because we don't have them. That's very plausible. And it feels like there should be, I mean, Lois is absolutely right. It feels like there should be more quotes in that scene, not just the Faustus. It feels like the whole scene should be peppered with specific allusions, but we nobody seems to have found any more apart from the one line from Faustus. I say the play is peppered with Faustus and Marlowe and other bits of Marlowe, lots of Tamburlaine throughout the text. So it's not an isolated thing, but it is isolated in that scene. Other thoughts, Eric?
I was just going to go back to Emma's point about the girls trying to do each other. It might also just be like a piss take of like male speeches in other plays.
Well, there was a little hint that they were slightly mocking the men earlier, so maybe there is a bit of that in here as well. You know, as you know, this whole thing's getting a bit extreme. Let's see how far we can push it. Let's push it even further. Lynn, were you waving?
No, I was actually originally going to make the pretty much exact same observation that Eric made, is that it's really interesting in 3-6 that the women say more than the men do, and they have this sort of competitive verbal wooing going on with all these classical allusions. Yeah, I do get the feeling that this is maybe kind of parody, that the real competition isn't to get their lovers to believe that they're in love, but to outdo each other in their rhetoric, and they're sort of mocking that whole convention as well. Yeah.
Helen.
It certainly shows two young women with a very fine classical education. They are as steeped in the classics as you would expect young elite men to be, which is interesting in a play about the relationships between men and women.
What I found interesting was there's this whole question of, you know, how much is Sander, the comedy character, cued in to do things, and how much is he doing stuff of his own bat? Is he just clowning within this context of what's happening around him, or is he complicit with his master, or is he just feeding off the cues his master gives him? And I particularly like Sander's bit where he does a terrible joke, and then he has to explain his terrible effectively just repeat and do it. You know, did you not get it the first time? I'll do it again. There, the bad joke. There we are. And I find that really interesting as well. Actually, it's like, and the way that would work with an audience as well. If it gets a laugh the first time around, you can milk it and get it again by doing by that business. It's like Ferando just going, "Would you like to do that joke again?" Thank you. You know, it has a real liveness potential to it as well. Other thoughts for any of those scenes? Aliki, then Helen.
So I noticed that Kate doesn't speak in this elaborate fashion, and I wonder if the actor playing Kate was more a physical comedian, able to do the "there's the food, there's the food," but not as quick on her with her tongue and her memorization as as the other boys who were playing the sisters.
Yeah, it's interesting about how much it's a matter of the question of, you know, why Kate says as much as she does. You know, is it just simply she's just not engaging? You know,
you expect the comedy couple to be the secondary couple, you know, and here you have, and here it's kind of the other way around. All the highfalutin romantic speeches from the two secondary couples, while the main plot, at least as I see it.
remember, this is a pleasant conceited history, so
Yes.
While it may be pleasant and conceited, it may not be a comedy.
I think it is a comedy. It feels like a comedy. It feels like there's a lot of room being created for a comedic physical business.
Other thoughts before we move on into Act 4 as it's listed? Helen.
Just a brief thing. The Ferando's line, "Tailor, come hither," that the two lines of that speech are definitely an aside.
Yep, that makes sense. Cool. Okay, we're going to move on. We'll actually just go 2 lines back, as it were. So we'll run the induction from the beginning of the induction into Act 4. So we've just had the scene with Philema and Aurelius, etc., and Polidor. And Sly asks a question about what's going on, or states, depending on your point of view.
Sorry, Lord. Oh yes, got it. Got my place.
Sim, must they be married now?
Aye, my lord.
Okay. Look, Sim, the fool has come again anew.
Sirrah, go fetch our horses forth and bring them to the back gate presently.
I will, sir. I warrant you.
And exit Sander, leaving Ferando and Kate alone.
Come, Kate, the moon shines clear tonight, methinks.
The moon? Why, husband, you are deceived. It is the sun.
Yes, again. Come back again. It shall be the moon ere we come at your father's.
Why, I'll say as you say, it is the moon.
Jesus save the glorious moon.
Jesus save the glorious moon.
I'm glad, Kate, your stomach is come down. I know it well, thou knowest 'tis the sun. But I did try to see if thou wouldst speak, and cross me now as thou hast done before. And trust me, Kate, hadst thou not named the moon, we had gone back again as sure as death. And soft, who's that's coming here?
Oh, enter a plot complication. The Duke of Sestos alone.
Thus all alone from Sestos am I come, and left my princely court and noble train to come to Athens, and in this disguise to see what course my son Aurelius takes. But stay, here's some. It may be travels thither. Good sir, can you direct me the way to Athens?
Fair lovely maid, young and affable, more clear of hue and far more beautiful than precious sardonyx or purple rocks, of amethysts or glittering hyacinths, more amiable far than is the plain, where glistering Zephyrus in silver bowers gazeth upon the giant Andromedae. Sweet Kate, entertain this lovely woman.
I think the man is mad. He calls me a woman.
Fair lovely lady, bright and crystalline, beauteous and stately as the eye-trained bird, as glorious as the morning washed with dew, within whose eyes she takes her dawning beams, and golden summer sleeps upon thy cheeks. Wrap up thy radiations in some cloud, lest that thy beauty make this stately town inhabitable like the burning zone, with sweet reflections of thy lovely face.
Well, is she mad too? Or is my shape transformed that both of them persuade me I'm a woman? But they're mad, sure, and therefore I'll be gone, and leave their company for fear of harm, and unto Athens haste to seek my son.
Exit the Duke.
I so, Kate, this was friendly done of thee, and kindly too. Why, thus must we two live, one mind, one heart, and one content for both. This good old man doth think that we are mad, and glad he is, I'm sure, that he is gone. But come, sweet Kate, for we will after him, and now persuade him to his shape again.
There exit all. Act 4, Scene 2. Enter Alfonso, Philautus, Valeria, Polidor, Emelia, Aurelius, and Philema.
Come, lovely sons, your marriage rites performed. Let's hie us home to see what cheer we have. I wonder that Ferando and his wife come not to see this great solemnity.
No marvel if Ferando be away. His wife, I think, hath troubled so his wits that he remains at home to keep them warm. For forward wedlock, as the proverb says, hath brought him to his nightcap long ago.
But Polidor, let my son and you take heed, that Ferando stay not ere long as much to you. And now, Alfonso, more to show my love, if unto Sestos you do send your ships, myself will fraught them with Arabian silks, rich Afric spices, arras counterpanes, musk, cassia, sweet-smelling ambergris, pearl, coral, crystal, jet, and ivory, to gratulate the favours of my son and friendly love that you have shown to him.
And for to honour him and this fair bride,
Enter the Duke of Sestos.
I'll yearly send you from my father's court chests of refined sugar severally, 10 tons of Tunis wine, sucet, sweet drugs to celebrate and solemnize this day. And custom-free your merchants shall converse and interchange the profits of your land, sending you gold for brass, silver for lead, cases of silk for packs of wool and cloth, to bind this friendship and confirm this league.
I'm glad, sir, that you would be so frank. Are you become the Duke of Sestos' son, and revel with my treasure in this town? Base villain, that thou dishonourest me.
Soons, it is the Duke. What shall I do? Dishonor thee, why? Knowest thou what thou sayest?
Here's no villain. He will not know me now. But what say you? Have you forgot me too?
Why, sir, are you acquainted with my son?
With thy son? No, trust me, if he be thine. I pray you, sir, who am I?
Father, humbly on my knees, I do entreat your grace to hear me speak.
Villain. Lay hands on them and send them to prison straight.
Philautus and Valeria run away. But then, from outside the play, Sly speaks.
I say we'll have no sending to prison.
My lord, this is but the play. They are but in jest.
I tell thee, Sim, we'll have no sending to prison. That's fiat. Why, Sim, am not I Don Cristo Veri? Therefore I say, thou shalt not go to prison.
No more they shall not, my lord. They be run away.
Are they run away, Sim? That's well. Then give some more drink and let them play again.
Here, my lord.
Sly drinks and then falls asleep. The rest of the cast on stage give a massive sigh and get on with the acting.
Ah, treacherous boy that durst presume to wed thyself without thy father's leave. I swear by fair Cynthia's burning rays, by Merop's head, and by seven-mouthed Nile, had I but known, ere thou hast wedded her, were in thy breast the world's immortal soul, this angry sword should rip thy hateful chest, and hew thee smaller than the Libyan sands. Turn hence thy face, O cruel, impious boy. Alfonso, I did not think you would presume to match your daughter with my princely house, and ne'er make me acquainted with the cause.
My lord, by heavens, I swear unto your grace, I knew none other, but Valeria, your man, had been the Duke of Sestos' noble son, nor did my daughter, I dare swear for her.
A damned villain that hath deluded me, whom I did send for guide unto my son. Oh, that my furious force could cleave the earth, that I might muster bands of hellish fiends to rack his heart and tear his impious soul. The ceaseless turning of celestial orbs, kindness, not greater flames in flitting air than passionate anguish of my raging breast.
And let my death, sweet father, end your grief, for I it is that thus have wrought your woes. Then be revenged on me, for here I swear that they are innocent of what I did. Oh, had I charged to cut off Hydra's head, to make the topless Alps a champion field, to kill untamed monsters with my sword, to travail daily in the hottest sun, and watch in winter when the nights be cold, I would with gladness undertake them all, and think the pain but pleasure that I felt, so that my noble father at my return would but forget and pardon my offence.
Let me entreat your grace upon my knees, to pardon him, and let my death discharge the heavy wrath your grace hath vowed against him.
And good my lord, let us entreat your grace to purge your stomach of this melancholy. Taint not your princely mind with grief, my lord, but pardon and forgive these lovers' faults, that kneeling crave your gracious favor here.
Great princes of Sestos, let a woman's words entreat a pardon in your lordly breast, both for your princely son and us, my lord.
Aurelius, stand up. I pardon thee. I see that virtue will have enemies, and fortune will be thwarting honor still. And you, fair virgin, too. I am content to accept you for my daughter, since 'tis done, and see you princely used in Sestos' court.
Thanks, good my lord, and I no longer live than I obey and honor you in all.
Let me give thanks unto your royal grace for this great honor done to me and mine. And if your grace will walk unto my house, I will, in the humblest manner I can, show the eternal service I do owe your grace.
Thanks, good Alfonso, but I came alone, and not as did beseem the Sestian Duke, nor would I have it known within the town that I was here, and thus without my train. But as I came alone, so will I go, and leave my son to solemnize his feast, and ere to be long, I'll come again to you and do him honor as beseems the son of mighty Jerubel, the Cestian Duke. Till when I'll leave you. Farewell, Aurelius.
Not yet, my lord. I'll bring you to your ship.
And exit all. Sly appears to have fallen asleep.
Who's within there? Come hither, sirs. My lord's asleep again. Go, take him easily up and put him in his own apparel again, and lay him in the place where we did find him, just underneath the alehouse side below. But see you wake him not in any case.
It shall be done, my lord. Come, help to bear him hence.
And there we will pause. The meta theatreness of it all has suddenly sort of stepped up a gear, as we don't just have Sly interrupting the action neatly between scenes. He's literally just in the middle of the scene going, "No, don't want that happening. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. Do something." Oh, what? They've actually run away. Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Drink. And it's really starting to ask questions about the what this overall event is. How seriously are we supposed to take the play within a play? We've been asking questions this session about is this a scene constructed from quotation? How seriously are we supposed to delve into the nature of these characters within the play itself, as well as, of course, the fact the play outside the play is still in a play. It's and that therefore starts asking whole questions about how we're supposed to really expect sort of understand the whole of the presentation. I half expected the Duke, when he came on for the first time, to slap his thigh. It was just something about the way it just came in. I am here to move on the plot. It was really bold. Stephen, I think I saw a hand. There may have been others. Do wave.
Well, just to follow on from that, or probably to just repeat it, I love that gag where he's Sly says, "Oh, great, the fool's come on," and then Ferando says, "Go away again," and the fool is just sent off. So, I mean, that kind of settles the question in my mind about how much we are to be looking at Sly. I mean, that's just built around the reaction, isn't it? And I think it's really interesting that at the end of this, that whole sort of theatricality is curtailed because he's taken away. And so we move into a different domain for the end of the play.
Yeah, who's watching Act 5?
Exactly. Well, that's kind of the point.
Why do they continue with Act 5 since there's nobody watching?
What is a play without an audience?
I've actually read to the end on this one, so I'm not going to say anything. But
is a thought of a thought a real thought?
But the meta-ness is kind of embedded here, isn't it? We were sort of pondering how much how much we were reading into it, and how much you could sort of basically do it without him there at all. And that one gag, seems to me to kind of anchor a particular sense of what's going on and how he's responding to it.
And it's really sensibly structured as well. It's not doing what's you sometimes get with choruses in neoclassical works and some plays where it's not completely regular. That actually Sly disappears for the most of the middle section of the play and doesn't even pop in for a moment. Because there's a point where he could get tiresome as a gag. So he's used it quite a lot at the beginning. He's fed back in towards the end. And it's used quite well, and I quite like that. I think that's very wisely done. Eric,
I was gonna say maybe he's just like the character was inspired by some sort of like drunk dramaturg or something, or a drunk director.
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm also looking at the chat where people are talking about what it's like to have performed in front of just doing a show when there's no audience and going, yes, I've been on the Edinburgh Fringe for that one. you look out and realise that you're still performing a show and there's no one there.
One person showed up. Yes, we're doing it. We're running it.
I have performed to 2 people and a dog once, and that's not a joke. There was a lovely dog. Oh, I've done one. I've done one person. Yes.
So really, you were performing to the dog.
Well, the dog was superb. It was comedy gold. Aliki.
So the extreme hyperbole of the Duke's violence, I think, indicates that he's meant to be played for laughs. I will cut you up into pieces so small they'd be like sand in the desert.
Yeah, especially as the setup for my arrival has been so confusing and convoluted. Couldn't you have even organized this better? Other thoughts?
Yeah, Aliki's comment makes me feel a little better because I just think, God, this got really dark really fast with the father threatening to murder his son. But if it's played as out Heroding Herod, he's a tyrant, but he's just playing a tyrant, then you could make it funny instead of threatening. I feel a little better about that now.
Yes, I mean there are whole questions about what happens to players when you just slightly switch the tone about what the intention is, and we still haven't absolutely nailed down what the intentions may or may not be with this text, and we still have an act to go. Helen.
Catherine's submission is very interesting. She isn't so much submitting to his irrationality as joining in with it.
Emma, I think you were Kate, weren't you? Any thoughts on that? Just to put you on the spot, because that's.
Yeah, no, I agree with Helen. I feel like her saying all those things to the Duke, pretending that he's a woman. I feel like she's just enjoying the game. She's kind of thinking, well, he started this silly game. I'll join in. We'll have a bit of fun together. I don't feel like it's her kind of being broken by it. I think she's having fun with it.
Lois.
Yeah, I mean, I think she quite clearly agrees with him, because otherwise they'll have to go home. And he actually does say, oh yes, I know you know what time it is. It's as if they're sort of in agreement already about it. I mean, he agrees that if she hadn't agreed with him, they would be going home. But I don't know. It's as if, and then he goes on to say, yeah, this is going to be great now. We're working together.
It doesn't remove coercion from this scene, of course. Lynn, I think, was going to say something similar.
That's exactly the word I was going to use. Is it really a game if one of the players is coerced into playing? She doesn't really have any choice, because otherwise they're not going to go see her sister. She's never going to get enough to eat. She's never going to get decent clothes to wear. Okay, I'll pretend to agree with you because that's what you want.
That's what we've been trained to do from every serial killer movie we've ever watched. Yes. Aliki.
Yeah, I would have said she's humoring him. And yeah, I mean, I don't feel she's broken, but she's humoring him. And I kind of, part of me thinks that's quite a pragmatic answer in a world where marriage gives you zero rights afterwards. Okay, so my husband's going to be like this, so that's how it's going to be.
Okay, we're going into Act 5. Let's see how the landing pays off. Are we going to stick the landing? Where are we going to be by the end of this? So, Act 5, Scene 1. Enter Ferando, Aurelius, Polidor, and his boy, Valeria and Sander.
Come, gentlemen. Now that supper's done, how shall we spend the time till we go to bed?
Faith, if you will, in trial of our wives, who will come soonest at their husband's call?
Nay, then Ferando must needs sit out, for he may call, I think, till he be weary, before his wife will come before she list.
'Tis well for you that have such gentle wives. Yet in this trial I will not sit out. It may be Kate will come as soon as yours.
My wife comes soonest for £100.
I'll take it. I'll lay as much to yours that my wife comes as soon as I do send.
How now, Ferando? You dare not lay, belike?
Why, true, I dare not lay indeed, but how? So little money on so sure a thing. £100? Why, I've laid as much upon my dog in running at a deer. She shall not come so far for such a trifle. But will you lay 500 marks with me? And whose wife soonest comes when he doth call, and shows herself most loving unto him, let him enjoy the wager I have laid. Now, what say you? Dare you adventure thus?
Aye, were it £1,000, I durst presume on my wife's love, and I will lay with thee.
And enter Alfonso, everybody's father-in-law.
How now, sons? What in a conference so hard? May I, without offense, know whereabouts?
Father, a weighty cause about our wives. 500 marks already we have laid, and he whose wife doth show most love to him, he must enjoy the wager to himself.
Why then, Ferando, he is sure to lose. I promise thee, son, thy wife will hardly come, and therefore I would not wish thee lay so much.
Tush, father, were it 10 times more, I durst adventure on my lovely Kate. But if I lose, I'll pay, and so shall you.
Upon mine honour, if I lose, I'll pay.
And so will I, upon my faith, I vow.
Then sit we down, and let us send for them.
I promise thee, Ferando, I am afraid thou wilt lose.
I'll send for my wife first. Valeria, go bid your mistress come to me.
I will, my lord.
And exit Valeria.
Now, for my £100, would any lay 100 more with me? I know I should obtain it by her love.
I pray God you have not laid too much already.
Trust me, Ferando, I am sure you have. For you, I dare presume, have lost it all again.
Enter Valeria again.
Now, Sirrah, what says your mistress?
She is something busy, but she'll come anon.
Why so? Did I not tell thee this before? She is busy and cannot come.
I pray God your wife send you so good an answer. She may be busy, yet she says she'll come.
Well, well, Polidor, send you for your wife.
Agreed. Boy, desire your mistress to come hither.
I will, sir.
And exit boy.
Aye, so he desires her to come.
Polidor, I dare presume for thee, I think thy wife will not deny to come, and I do marvel much, Aurelius, that your wife came not when you sent for her.
And enter the boy again.
Now, where's your mistress?
She bade me tell you that she will not come, and you have any business, you must come to her.
Oh, monstrous, intolerable presumption! Worse than a blazing star or snow at midsummer, earthquakes or anything unseasonable. She will not come, but he must come to her.
Well, sir, I pray you let's hear what answer your wife will make.
Sirrah, command your mistress to come to me presently.
Exit Sander.
My wife, for all she did not come, will prove most kind. For now I have no fear, for I am sure Fernando's wife, she will not come.
The more's the pity, then I must lose.
Enter Kate and
But I have
Sander.
won. See where Kate doth come.
Sweet husband, did you send for me?
I did, my love. I sent for thee to come. Come hither, Kate. What's that upon thy head?
Nothing, husband, but my cap, I think.
Pull it off and tread it under thy feet. 'Tis foolish. I will not have thee wear it.
She takes off her cap and treads on it.
Oh, wonderful metamorphosis!
Is thy wonder almost past belief?
This is a token of her true love to me. And yet I'll try her further. You shall see. Come hither, Kate. Where are thy sisters?
They be sitting in the bridal chamber.
Fetch them hither, and if they will not come, bid them perforce and make them come with thee.
I will.
Exit Kate.
I promise thee, Ferando, I would have sworn thy wife would ne'er have done so much for thee.
You shall see she will do more than this. For see where she brings her sisters forth by force.
Enter Kate, thrusting Philema and Emelia before her, and makes them come unto their husbands.
The husband? I have brought them both.
'Tis well done, Kate.
Aye, sure, and like a loving piece, you're worthy to have great praise for this attempt.
Aye, for making a fool of herself and us.
Through thee, Philema, thou hast lost me £100 tonight, for I did lay that thou wouldst first have come.
And thou, Emelia, hast lost me a great deal more.
You might have kept it better then. Who bade you lay it?
Now, lovely Kate, before their husbands hear, I prithee tell unto these headstrong women what duty wives do owe unto their husbands.
Then you that live thus by your pampered wills, now listen to me and mark what I shall say. The eternal power that with his only breath shall cause this end and this beginning frame, not in time nor before time, but with time confused, for all the course of years, of ages, months, of seasons temperate, of days and hours, are tuned and stopped by measure of his hand. The first world was a form without a form, a heap confused, a mixture all deformed, a gulf of gulfs, a body bodiless, where all the elements were orderless. Before the great commander of the world, the King of kings, the glorious God of heaven, who in 6 days did frame his heavenly work, and made all things to stand in perfect course. Then to his image he did make a man, old Adam, and from his side asleep a rib was taken, of which the Lord did make the woe of man, so termed by Adam then woman, for that by her came sin to us, and for her sin was Adam doomed to die. As Sarah to her husband, so should we obey them, love them, keep and nourish them, if they by any means do want our helps, laying our hands under their feet to tread, if that by that we might procure their ease. And for a precedent, I'll first begin and lay my hand under my husband's feet.
She lays her hand under her husband's feet.
Enough, sweet. The wager thou hast won, and they, I'm sure, cannot deny the same.
I, Ferando, the wager thou hast won, and for to show the how pleased I am in this, £100 I give thee more, another dowry for another daughter, for she is not the same she was before.
Thanks, sweet father. Gentlemen, good night. For Kate and I will leave you for tonight. 'Tis Kate and I am wed, and you are spared, and so farewell, for we will to our beds.
Exeunt Ferando, Kate, and Sander.
Now, Aurelius, what say you to this?
Father, I rejoice to see Ferando and his wife so lovingly agree.
Exeunt Aurelius, Philema, Alfonso, and Valeria.
How now, Polidor, in a dump? What sayst thou, man?
I say thou art a shrew.
That's better than a sheep.
Well, since 'tis done, let it go. Come, let's in.
And exeunt Polidor and Emelia. We go into an epilogue. Enter two bearing Sly in his own apparel again, and leave him where they found him, and then go out. Then enter the Tapster.
Now that the darksome night is overpast, and dawning day appears in crystal sky, now must I haste abroad. But soft, who's this? What? Sly? Oh, wondrous! Hath he lain here all night? I'll wake him. I think he's starved by this, but that his belly was so stuffed with ale. What how? Sly? Awake for shame.
Tim, just some more wine. What's all the players gone? Am I not a lord?
A lord with a murrain? Come, art thou drunken still?
Who's this? Tapster. Oh Lord, sir, I have had the bravest dream tonight that ever thou heardest in all thy life.
Aye, marry, but you had best get you home, for your wife will curse you for dreaming here tonight.
Will she? I know now how to tame a shrew. I dreamt upon it all this night till now, and thou hast waked me out of the best dream that I ever had in my life. But I'll to my wife presently and tame her too, and if she anger me.
Nay, tarry, Sly, for I'll go home with thee and hear the rest that thou hast dreamt tonight.
And exit all. And yes, Act 5. Yeah, that landed with a bit of a thump there, didn't it? It does have a couple of very good lines, and yeah, but otherwise, yeah, the men all come on and go ha rah 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 rah, and yeah. Thoughts in the room? Who wants to leap in? Lynn.
I think it's noteworthy that that the experiment is not an entire success. Emelia doesn't give in, and Polidor was at Ferando's house taking shrew taming lessons, and evidently his methods don't work on everyone, because she still says, "I'd rather be a shrew than a sheep."
Yeah, which is two wonderful lines of dialogue that are really really noteworthy. Aliki, were you wanting to step in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to agree with Lynn. I think this is a lot less misogynist than it could be, and I think it could be played in such a way as to make it even less so, to much delight. And I kind of love the end. I love that it ends like that, with the Tapster and Sly going off, and Sly convinced that he now knows how to make his wife do what he pleases. And I am absolutely certain that that is not the case, because he's a useless, stupid drunk.
Dan.
I want to second that. I definitely think that the Sly character, as many of the others in here, are satirizing whatever their status is, their station is in life. And returning now to the comments yesterday, when Kate reveals immediately what her plans are, I absolutely think now that was a wise choice to do, because she, right away, you know immediately what she is planning to do. So everything that she does afterwards is not a consequence of what had been transpiring throughout the play, but in fact it was pre-planned all along that she was going to be the one in control of all of her decisions.
Other thoughts? Helen, then Eric.
I had a thought while we were reading the Kate speech, that there is an opportunity here for Sander to reveal to Kate the entire plot. So if she knows what's going on, I mean, it plays against the text, I know, but I'm thinking for making it possible for a modern performance. If Kate actually knows that there's £100 at stake, which is, as I pointed out somewhere in the chat, a third of what is considered a very handsome annual income.
Yes, the other two are really stupid in the way they don't make some attempt to sort of nod the wink, tip the wink to.
But I think Sander's the sort of person who might quite easily do it.
There are lots of. The really interesting thing about Act 5 is this is the bit where there is no audience. There is only the theatre audience. I mean, the Lord might still be watching. But that then frames who's watching it in a slightly different way as well. I mean, there's an element of here of me sort of just going. There's a bit where the actors are just going, "Who's watching? Why these lines that we are saying? Why are we still? Do we stop yet?" And that there might be comment that is makeable about the nature of the text that they make. I mean, the meta-ness of it all is inviting us to comment on the whole performance and what it is saying, and that's another way of framing what is going on in this play and being able to distance it and say, look, this is what this play is doing. That's not necessarily the same as selling it as a good idea, which this play has that continuing Sly element throughout makes that easier. Other thoughts? Emma, I thought I saw a hand earlier. Were you desperate to leap in? I see others.
No, I was just moving my hands. I'll say something a bit later, and everyone else can talk first.
Okay, I'll go to Eric, then Rachael, then Lois.
Well, I just realized which play the ending reminds me of, where Sly is utterly convinced that he can tame his wife. It reminds me of John Tibb and Sir John the Priest, which is basically well, we did it like a few weeks ago or months ago. I don't know. Time's weird on here, and it was just utterly like this husband utterly convinced by himself that he's gonna beat his wife, and of course the wife turns up and it's not that way. She's the one abusing him, and it's quite it's just an interesting comparison.
Yeah, in a play where someone is trying to talk themselves up to trying to tame his wife in that fashion, and is patently never going to.
Well, you can kind of see it as like the sequel of how do you call it? Of like, when Sly goes home. This is what happens.
Rachael, then Lois.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say that the way people speak in this play is a lot more straightforward. It's a lot less like how there's that part with Emelia and Polidor and Aurelius, and they're sucking up to them, and they're using all this imagery that like you start to lose the line of what they're saying. You just understand that they're sucking up. I think that's a lot of I think that is like a lot of like how sometimes other plays can get into that, and you kind of have to like rethink what they're saying. But this is very sort of plainly spoken by comparison, and I feel like it's so much more spoken and for the stage, and less over the top poetic. And also I guess these are also kind of my final thoughts. I don't know if we're done final thoughts, but no, it's okay. Play, it's okay.
Excellent. 3 stars from TripAdvisor. Lois.
Yes, my feeling is that the whole thing goes so fast, it's so extreme in people's reactions. I mean, like what the Duke was saying he was going to do to his son, and so full of parody and quotation and so on, that I think the ending is bound to come across mainly as just part of the same spirit. I mean, I think Kate's speech is based on Dubartas, isn't it? A translation of Dubartas. I was trying to remember. It's some work that I don't know if the audience would have recognized it or not, but at any rate, it is largely a quotation from something else as well. And then of course the whole framework with this drunk who thinks, yes, now he understands exactly how you tame somebody, and he obviously doesn't. I mean, it just it makes the whole thing, I think, relatively easy to take on a totally farcical level.
Yeah, that sense of the meta-ness and the just the headlong pace of it. Yeah, it doesn't. There's very little interiority to this. There are a few asides, but they're mostly plot asides. We're not getting inside anybody's heads. We are just this is story driven throughout, but is also playing with conventions of how you perform a play and who's watching and why. So yeah, it's giving us a lot of options there. Alan.
I'm just wondering, it was a question I sort of posed yesterday, which we parked and didn't come back to, which is what the source material is for this piece. Because it's nice for once not to have got something which is basically a reworking of Greek or classical mythology. But I'm sure it didn't just emerge out of the ether. Whether it comes out of, I don't think it comes out of Chaucer, but whether it comes out of Decameron is a possibility, or whether there is, early Italian play that comes out of, because I think someone referred to Commedia or to Goldini at least in the chat, and it does have some of those same sort of resonances to me.
Well,
Goldoni's later.
Yeah, but Goldoni came out of Commedia as a tradition, didn't he?
Yeah, well, we do have a play that's semi-sources, semi-parallel, which is translated into English as Poses by George Gascoigne, which we haven't got around to doing yet. So how much of that is an influence is to be debated. There are other sources for it as well, so or potential sources for it as well. Yes, certainly in dramatic terms, there is another text that at some point we'll get around to reading that may call to mind certain things, as well as other sort of where the actual plot comes from. I think comes from various other things that are not necessarily quite within our wheelhouse, as it were. As well as, an awful lot of Tamburlaine and Faustus, of course. Quite a lot of Marlowe in there. So yeah, I'm sort of generally winding up. Final thoughts now. Sort of going around the room. If you feel you've already spoken enough, then feel free not to elaborate further. Valentina. How was this portion? Obviously, you missed yesterday's, so you've come in towards it. You've come in after the interval. You've sat down. How's the show for you?
I quite enjoyed it, but then it did remind me of Goldoni, and also it's kind of like I feel like the meta theater element really takes it makes it more acceptable, or at least the way I imagine it makes it more acceptable. So.
Yeah, it gives us a framing device so that we can distance what we're watching on that level, and gives us those options. Dan, final thoughts?
I feel like I've actually shared pretty much everything that I wanted to, I guess, about it. I think that the one thing that I would say is that this play is, in my mind, and maybe there already a number of studies have been done on it, but worthy of much more study in terms of all the extracting that goes on from Marlowe, from other sources, because I do think that this can fly in the face of a lot of theories about how plays are constructed or support them at the same time. That's all I will say about that.
Excellent. Lynn, do you have any final thoughts?
I do, and I'm afraid I'm not going to be super brief, so bear with me. So I was thinking last night about how meta-theatrical this is. You have the play within the play, and you have all kinds of role-playing and disguising and deception within that. You have a poor tradesman, probably, dressed up as a lord, and a boy dressed up playing his wife, and you have a servant playing his master, evidently Valeria pretending to be Aurelius, and you have the groom cosplaying a poor person at his own wedding, and you have the servant pretending to offer Kate meat when he has no intention of doing that. You have the Duke coming to Athens in disguise, pretending to be so he can spy on his son. So you have all of this role playing as well as the play within a play. And so it's kind of all about everything is performance. Is that what that's about? And it occurs to me that there is a really important distinction, I think, between some of the role playing in the play and theater. What makes theater is an agreement. You have an audience that understands itself as an audience, and performers who understand themselves as performers, and it's a game that we consent to play together. That's what makes theater. That's what makes it. That's what enables its social and psychological benefits, is that it's consensual. And so much of the role playing and deception in this play is not consensual. And I think the play tends to blur that distinction between consensual game playing and deception, and I find that troubling.
Excellent. Any more on that, or no? Okay. Aliki, final thoughts? No, you're good.
I've said my piece.
You've said your piece. Stephen, any final thoughts?
Yeah, just to piggyback on Lynn's point, really. It's advertised as a pleasant, conceited history, and I was wondering what conceited meant in this context. And fossicking in the dictionary, it's the nearest thing we have in modern English seems to be ingenious, so it's sort of slightly different to the sense of, pleasant conceits that you see, which is maybe a bit more whimsical and humorous. But yeah, this is very smart, according to the title page. What kind of smart is another matter. That's it.
Okay. Eric, final thoughts?
Yeah, I was wondering about sort of the comedy part of this, because it's kind of like with other plays where we said, is it meant to be played for laughs or sort of misogynist laughs or not? And I mean, it's kind of it seems to tone down some things and elevate other things. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's like that bit where Alfonso was saying, "Oh yeah, I promise you she won't come," and that bet scene at the end felt very uncomfortable. Yeah.
Helen, final thoughts?
Yes, I'd like to talk to Lynn, to Lynn's points, but it's going to take me a little while to get my head round them. So if she doesn't mind, I won't. But I think it's interesting, and I think there's a lot there to unpack. But I've just got two minor things. I think we were asking who is the audience for the final act of the play, for the final scene of the play. And it's, I think, almost certainly the Lord, because he's the one who commanded the play. He's the patron of the company. He doesn't exit with Sly. I think he is the audience for the final part. And the second is that in the last chunk of scenes that we did not note another huge list of rich and rare commodities, mainly sugar-based. And in fact, I think there were two lists in that section, because I think there was a list of jewels as well. It is very, very heavily loaded with these lists of commodities. I mean, I don't know why, but it is very interesting.
Elizabeth, final thoughts?
Oh, yes. I enjoyed the play. I think I wanted to say that we've just done Endymion, Galatea and Campaspe. And I think that we were kind of lulled into this sense of security that Lily provides. And it's I found myself really entranced by the Lily plays. So moving on to this one, I felt like I missed that. I missed the sort of the lyricism of Lily. I thought the play was a little bit hard for me to get into. I think that might be because I came into it late. And if I'd have been there from the beginning, I might have had a different experience. But I found this play a little bit obtuse. And I think the play within a play structure jarred with me a bit. It just jarred. I found that it was difficult for me to get into. But I did like the characters. I liked the way that they were portrayed, and the surfing people as well. And I did like the clowning aspects of the play as well.
Rachael, you wanted to jump in on that?
Yeah. I think I'm kind of neutral on this play. I some of what Lynn was saying was resonating with me, and what Elizabeth just said. Maybe this is where this play found an audience, and that it's, you know, it's kind of like an anti-romance a little bit. Like everybody gets together, but it's very cynical. It seems a little cynical. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just neutral on it.
Okay, Dan, I think wanted to leap in as well.
Yes. What I don't necessarily think this is the greatest play in the world, but certainly I think it's, I mean, this is not to, I preface that to say that because I also don't think it's such a bad play either. In fact, I think it's quite a, possibly even a good play for modern audiences, one that I don't feel like we need to tweak as much as we like to with these types of plays, because of the fact that it's satirizing a lot of things, it's putting a mirror up to a lot of bad behavior. For that reason, I wish that if this were to be staged, that it wouldn't be tweaked, really. Unlike some of the other plays of this type of this genre, where one feels the need to do so if you don't want to get your head, you know, taken off by particular groups. That will still happen anyway with this kind of play, who it seems to go over their head that, oh, it's a satire. This one, I feel like you really don't need to do it that much tinkering with it. That doesn't elevate it to a high level. I mean, it's once again not one of the greatest of plays, but I certainly think you'll have a pleasant time. It's a pleasant conceit.
There is as a piece of theatre, you know, if we step away from what it is saying, it is a very effective document for putting on an entertainment. You know, everything about it has been honed down to the absolute essentials. There isn't a wasted line in this. There is no reason. This isn't a play where I'm sitting here going, yeah, we could cut that, we could trim that. There's no fat on this text or this document at all. You know, it feels very honed. The only real question is how does this text land with an audience, and how do we frame that so that we're not compounding a felony, if that makes sense. And you know, that's really the only the fundamental question about how we do that. Dan.
Yeah, if I can just add, the fact that it extracts so much from other plays, it's kind of the bonus if you happen to, I mean, you think of it as some of the, we're very much now into doing sequels that, whether they're Cobra Kai 30 years after Karate Kid, if you watched Karate Kid and know it well, you're in on the joke even more. If you haven't, you're still going to love, in my opinion, love the show because it's very intelligently written. I feel like it's a little bit of the same thing here. You're rewarded if you know your Marlowe, or if you know your DeBartos or whatnot. If you don't, and in fact, not only are you rewarded, but it's even more satirical in the fact that it's appropriating or misappropriating, or however you'd like to say it, certain of those extracts in there. I think that in a way, I wouldn't say it's necessarily ahead of its time, but certainly it's something that I think modern audiences would be familiar with, this idea of extracting, satirizing, lampooning, if you will.
Yes, we've touched on plays that have extracted other plays before in the Wit and Science plays, or certainly the last one of that iteration. And further down the line, coming soon, we promise, The Night of the Burning Pestle is coming further down the road. So there are things that come before, there are things that come after. People wanting to respond to these thoughts in the room, I'll go to Lynn, then I'll go to Elizabeth.
Yeah, isn't what they call it Easter eggs, right? And the movie Shrek is full of those, that it's even funnier if you get all the little pop culture references, although you can enjoy it without them. But yeah, so the idea of planting Easter eggs is not new. It's this, I mean, this play's full of them. And Night of the Burning Pestle, which is one of my early modern crushes, also is full of them.
Elizabeth, muted at this second in time.
Oh yes, I was just so engaged with what Lynn was saying. I just wanted to speak to what Dan said about the rewarding of the audience. It's not something that I think we've discussed that much in Beyond Shakespeare exploring sessions. But I think that concept of how rewarding the audience find the play is just really fascinating, and it's something that we can think about when we talk about how playable or how manageable a play is for our audiences. Do they get rewarded by watching? Do the jokes land? Does the comedy business land? And I just wanted to speak to that, just to say that I just really found that fascinating, and that I think Dan is perfectly correct that we have to look at how rewarding the play is for an audience.
Yeah, and we touched a little on that yesterday, actually, when we were talking about the sort of semi-clown figure of Sander and some of the comic business last session. I didn't feel landed. We were discussing about why it might not land, as because of the nature of the way it's written and the nature of these sessions. Whereas some business is very obviously actionable, and you can see where the joke lies. So yeah, there's all sorts of questions on that. Lois.
Yeah, I saw this done by the Red Not Dead people some years ago. And the thing I remember most about it actually is not the comic scenes, but the way all those flowery speeches of the young men and women were delivered. And although nobody had any idea what was being parodied, they were just very funny. They were delivered in a very heightened style. And, you could tell the speaker had got miles away from any sense of an audience and was just having a wonderful time saying all this. And it was extremely funny. I mean, it's, as I say, the main thing I remember, but it does show that you could make something of that without expecting the audience to say, Marlowe, hey, Faustus, Act 1, Scene 4,
Yes, you don't need a flashing sign, Marlowe alert or anything like that, though that might be quite fun. Do you have anything more to add, Lois, as a final thought?
No, I'll stop now. Yeah.
Alan, you want to jump in, but also a final thought?
Yeah, I think it's an enjoyable piece. I think it does deserve a revival. The problem is going to be confusion with a play with a rather similar name.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, quite. I didn't think you would.
No, it just seems like a complete... Emma, coming round to you again. Final thoughts?
Yeah, I really enjoyed reading Kate today. I thought it was really fun, and I think the ending as well is very satisfying. I think Kate and Ferando come to a level playing field almost at the end. That final speech, I don't think is like a prim delivery to her two sisters. I think it's her talking to him and to the room about the system. She's saying, this is the world we live in. This is what it's like for women. It's ridiculous. And so I think the key perhaps lies not only in what she's saying, but in his reaction. How's he reacting to that? Is he squirming in his seat a bit, maybe? Maybe his next line, enough, sweet, the wager thou hast won. Maybe that's him actually being a bit uncomfortable. So that's quite satisfying. I think you should play it that way.
Okay, does anyone have any additional final thoughts? I think I've done a circuit of the room. Anyone feel that they're bursting to say something more? Or are we all content? Elizabeth?
I just wanted to say, I thought this play was really beautifully written. I thought that some of the language in the play, the lyricism was fantastic. It's not I don't rate it as highly as I do the Lily plays because I love those. I absolutely adore them. But I thought that the play was written very beautifully. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I mean, it is a case that, in genre terms, these are doing very different work, job of work. They are very different universes. And noting what it is that we as audiences like and what we're, there's to a degree, it's a marketing question. Who are you selling this play to as well? Who is your audience for this play? Who do you want to see it? We have had a lot of thoughts about this. I think we're going to have a lot more thoughts. I think it will haunt our dreams for many nights to come. I'd like to thank all the readers in the room for all their wonderful contributions, all their thoughts. That's it for us for another week. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Bye.